is Word of Victory Youth, and today I am here with
Chris.
Chris, and today we're going to be talking about bullying and stuff that's been happening in school in my era and his era. So, my question for you is, how did you experience bullying or somebody's getting bullied? How did you experience bullying?
Well, I've seen a lot of bullying in my day, where kids, excuse me, where, kids can use words and, not actually physically assault the person.
Yeah.
But their words can be physical to a person, if that makes sense. Because sometimes your words can hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You say somebody and it hurts their feelings. You know what I'm saying? And that, if you ever had your feelings hurt before, sometimes that can actually feel physical. You can actually feel a pain inside.
Right.
So I've seen that a lot where people get talked about. Like growing up in Detroit public schools, if the person didn't have the right clothes on or the right shoes on, they'll, be in situations where the people that had more would talk about the people with less. And I just think that was, pretty wrong. There's been situations to where that bullying and talking about them every day would lead up into fights and stuff where people getting kicked out of school or some serious violent stuff like bringing knives and guns. You know what I'm saying? I personally think people need to be left in peace, and that's that.
Yeah.
On the female aspect of it, same thing. If they don't dress right, they'll get bullied by girls, or if they're prettier than the other girl, then they'll do stuff like, I've seen stuff like where a young lady got gum put in her hair. You know what I'm saying? She had nice wavy hair and they didn't like that, so they just took bubble gum and put it all through her hair. She had to get it cut out. So stuff like that when I was coming up. What I think, first and foremost, in hindsight, the things that I did when, I was, getting, I gotta edit this out. There was an attempt on me where I was bullied too, but by me being a bigger guy, I mean, it wasn't this big, but I've always had some size and height to me.
Yeah.
I was able to handle it physically, so, you hit the person, you get into a fight, and hey, next thing you know, guys, is over, you friends. Hopefully it ended up like that. But I've seen other people that will get into a fight and they wind up getting shot the next day because they get into the fight, somebody lost. So those are the things that was coming up with me with bullying as I was growing up.
Something that been coming up with me with bullying is exactly similar to what Chris said, but instead it leads up to the person that's getting bullied having suicidal thoughts, and the person can't stick up for themselves in a situation. And me being in high school now, that's 15 years old, as a sophomore, it's weird, and it's not like, it's just childish to bully somebody just because of how they come to school or what they have and don't have. And I just feel like bullying is something that I just wish bullying wasn't even a thing, just because of how cruel it can be and how it can affect someone's mental health. And somebody could love themselves so much that, and then another person can come bring them down just because of how they see them. But I don't know, bullying is not good.
I agree. Now, in hindsight now, I never really addressed it to the principal or anything. I would handle matters in my own hands, which would get me suspended as well. So if I was back in school now, my advice to people was to keep a notepad, write dates down, write times down. So and then write the time and the date down that you told an adult. in the school, because if it escalates to something volatile, you want to have, if it's be some legal issue or something, you want to have notes and paperwork saying, hey, you know what I'm saying? I went to the principal at this date. I went to the teacher first. I said this, and this. I went to the principal. I said this, and this. You know what I'm saying? It might escalate to the point where you have to actually file a police report, on the person. But it's always good to keep a track record on yourself getting bullied. Because if something really happens and you get into a fight or whatever, or you win, and let's just say they get hurt real bad and have to go to the hospital, they're going to be looking at you as the person that's the bad person. They're not going to know about what brung you to this point. So nip it in the bud. As soon as it starts happening, hey, address them first. I'm not liking this man. Can you please stop? Date, time. They continue, escalate to the teacher. Date, time. They continue, now I'm going to the principal. Date, time. You know what I'm saying? Keep a track record of you doing this. Keep a track record of all the incidents. So if something happened where you have to defend yourself, and I'm a firm believer of a person defending themselves. You know what I'm saying? You'll have something to show that, hey, this has been addressed. This has been going on. This is the result of it. I haven't been bothering nobody. This is the result of it. Yep.
So say that what do you have to say to someone? Well, what is a positive way for you to make the situation not go to a violent situation?
Trying to communicate, trying to rationalize with the person of the dislike of what they're doing. Now, in that case, if they're talking about you and then you start talking about them, that's not really resolving.
Yeah.
If you want something to stop being done to you, just explain to them, hey man, I don't like what you're saying. Can you do this? And you try to just stay out of conflict with the person. Don't go back and forth with the person. You say what you're going to say, write it down, and leave it alone. Because once you get combative and start going back and forth, the violence is on, both of you, right? You might say something that triggers him. Everybody has a trigger, even the bully. You might finally say something to where, when I was growing up, we had freestyle rap battles. Okay, I don't know if they do that in your school and stuff. You heard of that, freestyle rap battles? Okay, so we used to battle rap. And we would battle rap, so I don't know how it is, and I'm sure it's still the same way. As you change in classes, you got 10 minutes to get to the other class. Yeah. So the bell rings, you go to the locker. Well, we'll meet up in this one area, and we'll take 5 of those minutes to rap, or we'll meet in the bathroom, and we'll write our little verses during school when we should have been doing our schoolwork, right out there and do our verses. So one day, we just struck a chord with this one guy. You know what I'm saying? We hit something that he thought it was just a song. But for some reason, it hurt him. You know what I'm saying? And it hurt him bad. And that talking back and forth became violent. So I believe if now he was a sore loser in this thing because it was just a rap battle. Most of the bullies, what I've noticed about them is they can dish things out, but they can't take things. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then when the shoe is on the other foot and you're protecting yourself for saying something, or, you got people laughing at them, now it's a problem and now they want to fight.
Right.
So I just say avoid the conflict altogether, even with the conversation of just engaging in a bunch of conversation. Say what you're going to say. Hey, I don't like this. I don't want to play like that. Let's move on.
Okay. So, before we started doing the podcast, we was out there talking, and you mentioned, I wrote it down, that you was going at it since kindergarten to middle school or high school?
Yeah, I've had a fight every year of my life.
And how did that lead up? After having the fights, how did that affect you as an adult now to being in school, getting in fights to now? Did you get any more maturity, Bill, or?
Well, all of the situations I've been in has been self-defense.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't bother. I grew up in the church.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean anything. I mean, because there's people in church who's volatile and, out here. But I grew up in the church, and I was a happy kid growing up. Some people hate your joy.
Mm.
Some people they just hate your joy. They just hate your smile. Like, why are you coming in happy?
Mm.
This just how it is. They hate joy.
It's the devil.
I come in joyful and happy and smiling. You got people, hey man, why are you always smiling? So man, because I'm just happy to be here, man. I'm just happy to be alive. I'm happy. And you start getting talked about and, this and this, and they still see you happy, or they want something that you got, and it winds up being into a fight. So every year, there's been a person who challenged me. And I think it stems because of my bubbly personality, or, I'm outgoing, I'm innovative, I create things, and most people don't like that. They want you to be like them, or they don't want you to have ambition.
Yeah.
You can't share your dreams and visions with everybody because they don't, they won't understand. So most of my stuff and fights I was never the aggressor. I've never bullied somebody and just, hey, wanted to start a fight with them. It was always something to where I had to defend myself or I was going to get hurt.
Yeah. I really agree with that, because when Chris was saying, like, some people can be jealous of you and what you got going on, and they want to take of you being successful in life, and they just want to bring that down with them. But what I got from what Chris was saying, that he didn't let that happen. He kept moving on and didn't let that bully keep letting him disrespect him or bully him. And I could say that you're very strong for that. Like,
thank you.
That's real nice.
Thank you.
So what do you have to say about, well, in my era in high school, it's gangs, people affiliated with gangs, people throwing up gang signs, stuff like that, in this era, and it's boys and girls that's in gangs, and the type of gangs, it's like with violence, guns, meetups, and they do shootouts, or there's no fighting out, no situation, it's all just weapons and everything. So compared to that type of era and yours, what's different, or is it the same? Have you experienced anything like that with guns affiliated in situations where fight broke out or anything?
I grew up during the time, like I was telling you earlier, I grew up in the BMF era, so the crack era, where people had guns. And they did bring guns to school because a lot of, guys in middle school and in high school was selling drugs and stuff like that. But most of those incidents where they brung guns to school were controlled incidents. They were in that world. Now, meaning that there's another drug dealer. It wasn't like, we didn't have mass shootings. Like somebody come up to the school and just come up there and just mass shoot. The shootings that happened when I was growing up had something to do with the life that people chose. You know what I'm saying? This person's a drug dealer. You see your rival person taking your block, and then it was a controlled incident. So it was an isolated incident, with that world and that universe. Now, I do know a friend of mine I was telling you about that he was getting talked about, and then he just got to the point where he couldn't take it no more, and he brought a gun. Fortunately, he told somebody he had a gun, and then they told we had police in our school. I don't know, do you have police in your school? Yeah. They told the police, and then they, arrested him and everything. But I feel bad. I mean, I know he didn't supposed to bring a gun to school. I felt bad because I know the reason that he brought the gun to school. It wasn't just to be violent to a person. He just wanted people to leave him alone. you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you can talk about somebody. Say, this is the reason. Now and on that case, he wasn't the bully.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He was actually the victim,
Yeah.
and everybody failed him. They failed him. He would tell the teacher. He would, tell people. We wouldn't let him. Now, the people we hung with, we didn't let him get jumped.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't really know how to fight well, and he just got tired of the ridicule every day. So now, when he brings the gun, it turns the people who were bullying him into the victim, and he's the bully.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I felt bad that his life was ruined. I mean, after that, went to juvenile, and he wasn't a guy that needed to be in juvenile. He's not a volatile person. He wasn't a volatile person.
Right.
But I know a couple cases of that happening, to where they'll get a person to the point to where, hey, the only way I can do something is to bring a gun and shoot them, or they're going to bring a gun and shoot themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically the same thing. Yep.
Yeah. So violence is a really big thing when it comes to a situation like that. What I could say in my era is that it does have something to do with drugs, like back in your days, but it also has something to do with like what gang you affiliated with and who you represent, because it's different gangs, different people that these young boys are affiliated with. And it's like when they see somebody they have beef with, they just be like, oh, that's my op, I'm gonna kill him or strike him down or something. It's just like when you automatically see your op, that's just it's a fight happening, a shootout, whatever it is. And I don't know, like, I just feel like gangs it make the world worse than what it already is.
Yeah. What is there female gangs too?
I mean, girls can be affiliated with gangs too, but I feel like a gang would happen without boys.
Right. Because it wasn't really female gangs when I was coming up.
Yeah.
But it seems like everything the guys were doing was to impress
Females.
Right, was to impress the females, and sometimes it just got out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
But with the gun violence, so yes, we had gun violence. It was more like drug related. I wouldn't say we had. I mean, there were gangs, but not like today. I mean, you had your crew and the people you hang with, that you have stuff in common with, Basketball team, if you got a high school with a basketball team,
Mm-hmm.
most of the basketball team, they're friends. Yeah. They hang out with each other. Football team, people hang out with, each other, the musicians, the glee club, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Any club you in, that's, basically who you rolling with and stuff like that. But, so incidents with, have you had any trauma due to something that happened to yourself or somebody in school?
Yeah, I could say a lot of drama do be happening recently that I don't want to be included in because it's the people I'm involved in around. And they try to bring me down and put me in the middle of it. It's like I gotta pick and choose who I want to hang around with.
Exactly.
And I feel like when you have to pick what group you want to hang around with, you gotta stick with that group. And I just feel like my only decision was to just be alone, be by myself, But it's just, with females though, they just get into it over ludicrous things like relationship, boys, just anything that's just not really important to just fight over with or just to have beef with somebody with. And I could say like if I went to a basketball game and something happened and I knew that something was going to happen. I had a feeling. It was a bad feeling. As soon as I walked in the game, I just knew something was going to pop off.
Mm.
And I couldn't really tell anybody, but I knew something was gonna happen, so I told my principal to watch out. But nobody got hurt at the game. I just feel like some schools can't have a game without a fight breaking out or a shootout happening, and that's when the violence come in at, and the beefing and the pick and choosing sides and all the other non-bad things just coming towards whatever happening.
Yeah. That sports thing that was happening in my era as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's happening right now because that's not just with the sports related stuff. Doesn't even have anything to do with being in Detroit or West Bloomfield or Farmington. That's everywhere across the board. So these rival teams go together. There's going to be some kind of, for the most part, there's usually some kind of incidents in those games, especially when you're, rivals. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Even in college, you're saying with the Michigan State and Michigan, or the Ohio State and Michigan game, there's going to be some kind of situations like that.
Yeah. I just think it all happens with, or start with, who team is better, or two good teams going against each other and then a fight break out, depending on who.
Between who do, pride gets in the way. Hey, so that's the sports area.
Yeah.
I live in. But so you said something about, sometimes that talking about a person can make you have suicidal thoughts and everything. So do you know anybody that did that or tried to attempt that?
Yeah, I know a girl that tried. She had told somebody that she was close with that her mother had passed away. And in this generation, everybody makes a fun out of everything. So people in my school going around saying, "Oh, we're just gonna call her Jay." They were saying, "Oh, Jay mother died and she don't have a mom," and they would just make fun of her because she don't have a mother and she don't know where her dad is. So they would just make fun of her and stuff like that. And there's one time I was just hearing around, like, my school was so small, so you could really just find out anything that's going on. But there's one time I seen her in the bathroom, went in the bathroom, I seen her and she was just crying. And I was scared to say something to her because I didn't know how she would take it. I didn't want her to think I was I was scared to say something because I was scared that she would think I'm the type of bully to bully her, be like, but instead I wanted to ask her, like, what's going on? What are you crying for? And I asked her that, and she told me it was about the people in the school bullying her about her mother passing. And I told her, like, you're not alone. It's okay. Everybody have someone that passed away in their life. But it's not okay for people to bully you for not having a mother. Things happen. And I was just reassuring her, telling her everything's going to be okay. But it came down to it where they would talk about the way she come to school, what she wear, what kind of cellular device she have. It was just, everybody had something to have their own opinion on what she have and what's going on in her life. And I was always there to reassure her and tell her everything would be okay. Don't take it to heart. But she couldn't take it. She just wanted to kill herself. But I told her that's not the best way to do it. You either give it to God, or you just tell whoever you're living with about what's going on, or tell somebody in the school. And she did so, but when she told somebody in the school, it stopped happening, but after a while, but then it started happening again. So I feel like I had to take a foot in and just hang around her a little bit, because I know that if she has somebody there for her that isn't getting bullied and know the bullies, that she wouldn't just get bullied, and I tried to make her feel more of a person to be friends with around the bullies, because she just like everyone else. She just don't have everything that everybody else has. And I tried to let them know that you can't just bully somebody based off what they have or what they don't have. Like, I'm blessed to have what I have, and she's blessed to have what they have. But I just feel like people that want to make fun of other people about what they don't have, you should be blessed that you have what you have, because it's not a good look on to bully somebody about what they don't have and you have it. What if you didn't have it? It'll be vice versa on how you would get bullied about not having what others don't have. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's like one of the cruelest things I ever heard
Yeah.
about somebody. I've never heard nobody do nothing like that. You know, somebody talk about somebody because they lost a pet. It seemed like that'd be a time where that you come together and try to comfort somebody. I mean, that's terrible. I haven't even heard anything like that. So
Also, when I was in middle school, this was about the girl that was happening in high school. In middle school, this boy, he was different from everybody else. He was very smart, but he didn't look like everybody else. His hair wasn't as black as everybody else or light brown. It was like red, ginger. He was born like that. He was more like Chris color, and he would get
so he was an albino?
Yeah,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
But instead, his hair was like ginger red or something like that.
Okay.
But he was very smart. He was so intelligent, and I wanted to be his friend because he was so smart. But they would make fun of him because of how he came to school. And I told him, well, okay, and then everything started weighing on his heart, and then he took it to the point where he wanted to kill himself in school. And I had to, I don't know, I'm the type to just like help someone, because I wouldn't want nobody to do that type of thing or to be in that suicidal mindset. So I told him, like, hey, I like the way you dress, I like your shoes, I like everything. Just don't let nobody bring you down like that, because at the end of the day, you're very smart. I told him, you're smart, you're more brighter than everybody else in the school, and I want you to know that, because it kind of broke my heart when I found out that he wanted to kill himself in school. But, it's career out here. These kids, I don't know, they just need people to talk to them.
All right, so why don't you close us out?
Thank you for tuning in with us. Have a nice day.
Right. Word of Victory Youth.
Word of Victory. Bye.